Today's topic is about urban poverty and slum mapping. So, urban poverty and the types of slum, the mapping of slum is an important component when we are talking about the sustainable urban planning, sustainable urban development. Okay, so before starting, we should know what kind of uh, urban poverty may be there, what are the data sources that are required for the urban poverty mapping, what are the statistics, and how we can use geographical information system and remote sensing techniques for urban poverty mapping. Okay, so poverty mapping, or you can call it as urban poverty mapping, is a multi-dimensional approach. It is required to adopt multidisciplinary approach to map the urban poverty. Urban poverty is simply the person or the poor living in the urban area. It's not like that most of the person who lives in urban area having good economic condition. Some person who lives in urban area may have poor economic condition. They may be considered as the urban poors, and that kind of poverty in the urban area of that poor person is known as urban poverty. Okay, so urban poverty may have two different dimensions: monetary dimension and non-monetary dimensions. Okay, so when we are going to map, when we are going to study urban poverty, we can apply either monetary dimensions or non-monetary dimensions. So in monetary dimensions, again, we need to consider two important aspects: income and consumption. Okay, what is the income of that person, and how much money or how much resources he is consuming. So monetary dimension is based on two aspects: income and consumption, whereas non-monetary dimensions is based on the health condition, nutrition, education, okay, and basic amenities, basic utility services, and the empowerment. So you can see here the urban poverty is a kind of multidimensional approach. You need to study the income, you need to study the consumption, you need to study the health condition, nutrition, education facilities, health conditions, okay, basic amenities, utility services. So it requires a lot of data sets. It requires multidimensional approach to study the urban poverty and to map the slums in the urban area. Okay, so this is the statistics showing that 90% of the population growth between 2000 and 2030 will take in the cities of the developing world. Okay, so you can see here the number of urban dwellers are increasing day by day, whereas the number of rural person, whereas the persons living in the rural area is declining. So it is expected to have around 5 million per people uh, living in the urban area up to 2030. So this is the common, this is the general statistics. Okay, and this is the statistics based on the World Urbanization Forum. So urban growth, you can see here the urban growth patterns in different continents. Okay, in case of urban population. So the region I have selected here: Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and the Caribbean and North American region. So you can see here, starting from 1985 to 2030, you can see the change in the urban growth. Means urban growth means number of urban population. So here you can see the number of urban population is increasing day by day, year by year. In Africa, it is also having the high urbanization rate, high number of urban population that is expected to have in 2030. In case of Asia, Asia is having the higher urban growth. Asia is having the more number of urban population in comparison to any other continent in the world. So in Asia, you can see here, it is expected to have 2,664 millions urban population in 2030. So condition is very critical, and most of the natural resources are in the danger because the urban population is increasing day by day. So we need to study the urbanization pattern. We need to study the past trend, and then you can use it for future prediction, depending on different this kind of, you can say, urbanization pattern. So urban growth or urban population, both are complementary to each other. How much urban growth will be there? In the same respect, there will be the increase in the urban population. Urban growth and urban population both are complementary to each other. So for studying the urban population, first you need to study the urban growth, and for studying the urban growth, you need to study the urban population. So this is the statistics showing the urban population in millions in the different parts of the world, in different continents. Okay, so access to the land and security of tenure. Okay, so what is the problem that is caused by the urban poverty, or you can say by the urban poor? So background of insecure tenure, poverty, invasions, and weak institutional legal framework. Okay, there is an insecurity. Tenure means hota hai the holding capacity. Urban poor or the person living in urban area, they don't have their own house, they don't have their own land. That there is a insecurity in the tenure. Importance of the security of tenure for settlement development. Okay, so for this, we need to focus on the security of the tenure. Each and every person is required to have some security of the land, what he can use for making their home, for making their houses. Okay, so for that, we need to apply different kinds of policies, different kinds of programs and projects that may be used to provide the access to the urban poor to their land and the security of the tenure. Okay, the main problem in urban area is that people who are living in urban area, they don't have land, they don't have their own land, they are insecure, their uh, tenuureship over a land or their tenuureship over the home or house is insecure. So we need to provide the legal access to the land and security of the tenure to the person living in the urban area, that we call it as a urban poor. And urban poor is basically, it is a term that is used for the urban poverty. Urban poor is directly related to the urban poverty. If number of urban poor will increase, then definitely it will increase the poverty in the urban area. Okay, so what is the security of land tenure? How you can say that this land is having secure tenure to a person? So security of a tenure is described as an agreement between an individual or group on land and residential property, which is governed and regulated by a legal and administrative framework. Okay, and the security that is derived from the fact that the right of access to the and use of the land and property is underwritten by known set of rules. The tenure can be effected in a variety of ways, depending on the constitutional and legal framework, social norms, cultural values, and to some extent, individual preferences. UNCHS 1999. This is the term that is used to define the security of tenure. Land tenure means a person who is living in urban area, they should have some parcel of the land, they should have some legal tenureship, they should have some ownership of the land. That will improve the life of that person, and that will decrease the urban poverty. Okay, for decreasing the urban poverty, it is required to provide the security, it is required to provide the legal tenure to the person living in the urban area. So the security of land tenures may have different context, may have different aspects: household tenure, individual tenure, or perceptions. So security and insecurity. So what is the difference between secure tenure and insecure tenure? In case of secure tenure, both context and household secure. Okay, and in insecure tenure, environmental insecure, household secure. And in insecure tenureship, household insecurity, individual insecurity, environmental insecurity, and both, if both are insecure, then there may be high security. So security may be of two types, either in case of household or in case of environment. Okay, if there is an environmental insecurity, then it will be considered as medium security. If there is no household security, no environmental security, then it will be considered as high insecurity. Okay, So for getting the legal security of the land, for getting the tenureship of land, we should provide both the environmental security, household security, and as well as the individual security to the person living in that urban area. So security is very important. When we provide legal security, when we provide the legal tenureship to the person living in that urban area, it may be considered at the facilities, it may be used to reduce the urban poverty. If a person having their own house, if a person having their own uh, land, then definitely there will be less chances of the urban poverty. Okay. So land management and poverty mitigation. So how the poor loses their place in the city, that is urbanization, informal developments, displacement, gentrification, and resettlement. Most of the person living in the city, they are losing their places in the city because of the rapid urbanization, because of the informal developments, because of the displacements, because of the gentrification and resettlement. How we can use this to improve the land tenureship, how the poor regain their place in the city, tenure improvement and settlement upgrading. Okay, so for that we need to apply a proper land management system. If there is a proper land management system, so no person will lose their place in the city, no person will come into the urban poor, and it will definitely decrease the urban poverty. Okay, so this is the graph, this is the figure showing the slum poverty and inequity. Okay, so how slum forms, how there, how some cities have high number of slums, how some city having low number of slums. So slum formation started from the income inequity, inequality in the income, lack of economic growth, and in migration. These three factors are responsible for the formation of slum area in an urban area or in a city. Inequality in the income, there is no income, there is no source of income, there is a lack of economic growth. The person living in the urban area, they don't have good economic growth, there is a lack of economic uh, resources, they don't have good amount of income. And in migration is also a type of factor that is responsible for the slum area. Most of the people are now moving from rural area to urban area. They go to urban area, but they don't have legal land, they don't have house, they don't have proper land to where they can live. So they can they can start living in an area that is considered as a slum. It is illegal and unauthorized uh, occupation of the land. Slum is the illegal and unauthorized occupation of the land. If someone goes to the urban area for better economic benefit, for better education, but they don't have their own land, so they start living in a place where they started creating the slums. So slum may be formed because of the inequity in the income, because of the lack of economic growth, and because of the in-migration. Okay, so this income inequity and in-migration and lack of economic growth rises to the poverty, and that poverty uh, rises the slum formation. Okay, because they don't have the money to afford the house, they don't have money to acquire the land, so definitely they will start living in an area where they start forming the slum, they start forming some illegal colonies, unauthorized occupation of the land, that eventually comes in the form of slums. So all this problem, the problems related to slum started from these three factors: migration, lack of economic growth, and the income inequity. Okay. So this is the figure showing the slum area. Okay, the urbanization of poverty. This is the case, you can say that urbanization of the poverty. This is the slum area. You can see how much worst condition is there. They are illegally occupied land by the person who came for better economic activities, but they don't have their land. To avoid this problem, there should be some policies so that each and every person should have their own land. They have legal tenureship to the land. So these kind of problems, these kind of slums may not be formed in that area. Okay. Okay, the cities without slum, the inclusive city. A dwelling is a slum if one or more of these criteria are missing. Okay, a area can be considered as a slum if these criteria are missing. If there is no proper access to the water, there is no proper access of the sanitization, if there is not sufficient living area, there is no structural quality, durability of the dwellings, and security of the tenure. These factors, if these three criteria are missing, then that area can be considered as a slum. If there is no water resources, if there is no access to the sanitization facilities, okay, if there is not insufficient living area, if it is overcrowded, okay, if there is in structural quality, durability of the dwellings, and security of the tenure. These are the criteria. If these three criteria are there, and if these three criteria are not fulfilling in that area, then that area is considered as the slum. Okay, so for identifying that this area is slum or not, you need to check these criteria: access to improved water, access to improved sanitation, whether there is a access to water, whether there is access to sanitization, if there is there availability of sufficient living area, there is durability of the dwellings, structural quality is there is tenureship, there is security of the tenure. If this criteria is missing there, then that region of a city can be considered as the slum. Okay, so this is the basic term. These are the basic criteria that can be used to identify a slum area in any city. Okay, so this is the condition, this is the proportion of the slums of the world. Okay, in world you can see most of the slum areas in the African continent. Okay, and after that India is also having 50 to 75% slum area. Okay, so you can see here the scenario, like most of the Asian countries like India, Pakistan, and some other part here in the Africa, they are having more number of slums in comparison to the other part of the world. Okay, the green area is having only 1 to 10% of the slum area, but in red, that is in the African continent, you can see African continents, in some countries of the African continent, they are having around 75 to 99% of the slum areas. After that, India is also having 50 to 75% of the urban slum area. So you can see the scenario. Like in India, it is also very important to reduce or to improve the quality of life of the urban dwellers, so that there may be the reduction in the slum area. The slum of a region is directly dependent on the land tenure. If a person don't have their own land, if they don't have legal access to the land, they don't have basic amenities, they don't have basic utilities, so they start forming slum area. They start living in an area, then and time by time it converted into the slums. So we need to study the slums. We need to identify the slum area and try to improve the quality of life of the person living in that slum area by providing them the legal tenure of the land. So in recently you have heard the uh, program of Government of India. So Government of India is planning to provide house to each and every person in the India by 2020. Okay, that is the program launched by the Government of India. That program will help to reduce the number of slums in the India. If a person having their own home, if a person having their own land, say, so they don't live anywhere without any legal occupation. So there may be the reduction in the slum area. So this is the trend of the slum area. This is the trend how the slum area is increasing over the period of 1990 to 2001. Over the 10-year, you can see in India, in China, okay, the slum area is decreased, okay. Whereas in some part of the African countries, in some part of the South American countries, there is increased number of slums. Okay, in India, slum area is decreasing after government scheme, after providing houses to the person living in urban area. Okay, so here the tendency of the slum, that is the trend of the slum over 1990 to 2001. Okay, in different part of the world, India is having decreasing slum trend, whereas in some part of the Africa they are having increasing trend. In South American countries they are also having increasing trend of slum area formation. Okay, whereas other countries, other part, Australia and America having no information about this slum area, and in some part of the world having the constant rate of the slum formation. Okay. So this is the figure showing the area in between the slum and urban area. So here you can see the cities are the places for the rich and the poor both. Okay, in a city, both type of person living there, rich or poor. So it is very easy to identify the slum area by interpreting the satellite images. If there is uneven structure, if there is unsystematic formation of the houses, unsystematic formation, very dense houses are there, then it will be considered as the slum area. So this is the figure showing the places where you can see here some part is having developed area, some part is having non-developed area. So in this central part, you can see this this is the slum area. This part is showing the slum area, because you can see here it is highly dense urban area without any systematic structure, without any planning. Whereas other part of the city, you can see they are having some systematic arrangement. They are having some specific pattern of the formation of the houses. But in this, in between, you can see this is a kind of urban area that can be considered as the slum, because it is having higher density in comparison to the neighboring area. So by interpreting the satellite images, you can easily identify whether it is slum area or non-slum area, or a planned city, or you can say the proper managed city with is systematic arrangement of the houses, roads, buildings, flyovers, overbridges, and so on. Okay. So remote sensing can be used, whether remote sensing can be used to see the urban poor, or it can be able to see the urban poverty or slum area. Okay, the poverty line and living conditions. Okay, so the below poverty line and above poverty level line, APL and BPL. आपने ये नाम सुना होगा, APL and BPL. APL means above poverty line, BPL means below poverty line. Okay, so urban poverty or the urban poor can also be categorized on the basis of APL and BPL. Okay, the person under APL having structural poor, okay, and the person having APL having potential non-poor. Okay, so these are the unsatisfied needs. Means the person living below poverty line, having don't having basic amenities, they don't having basic infrastructure, they don't having good health facilities, good educational facilities, and other water resources. Okay, so remote sensing can be used to map, can be used to identify the urban poor, can be used to identify the slums, and they can be used to provide the proper management of that urban area. to avoid or to reduce the number of slums. Okay, so remote sensing can be used to visually interpret the slum areas by interpreting the satellite images that can be considered as a visible characteristics of the slum. Okay, so when we are going to interpret the satellite images for identifying the slum area, so we need to take care of these factors: dwelling size, building materials, morphology, location, density, dispersed or concentrated or other. Are slum dwellers socioeconomically homogeneous? Okay, dwellers means dweller means residents. The person who are living in in an area is known as dweller. Dweller may be of two types: urban dweller or rural dweller. Okay, there may be, if there is a uh, urban area having most of the person having below poverty line, then they will be considered as poor dwellers. Okay, so the slums can be identified, slums can be categorized on the basis of dwelling size. You have to identify what kind of persons are living in that area, what kind of building materials are used. Okay, what is the morphology, what is the location, density, population density is also important. Slum area may have higher population density. Okay, but when we go for a planned and developed city, they may have low population density. So these are some factors, they may be considered when we are going to characterize the slum area by using satellite images or by using remote sensing images. Okay, dwelling size, building material, morphology, location, density, dispersed or concentrated, and others. Are slum dwellers socioeconomic homogeneous? You need to also identify what is the socioeconomic condition of that slum dwellers. The person living in the slums are known as slum dwellers. So you need to study, you need to identify the socioeconomic condition of these slum dwellers. Okay, depending on that you can come to know that what can be done, what should be the policy to raise the uh, social life or to raise the economic life of the person living in that slum area. Okay, so remote sensing can provide you the ground photos, it can provide you the aerial photographs, it can provide you the spaceborne satellite images. Okay, so you can use any kind of remote sensing data source, either ground photos, aerial photographs, or satellite images, to identifying or to mapping the slum area by interpreting that area, that you need to apply all the interpretation keys: shape, size, tone, texture, pattern, association. Because if there is a slum area, they may have different kinds of texture, they may have different kinds of tone, they may have different kinds of association and other interpretation keys. Technical specification: spatial resolution is a important aspect when we are going to study the slum area. Okay, if we are using high spatial resolution images like Iconos, QuickBird, that is around 1 meter spatial resolution is there, so it is very easy to identify the slum area when we are going to use high spatial resolution images. Okay, so if we use high spatial resolution images, so it will be very easy to identify the exact location of that slum area, to identify the exact area covered by the slums. So spatial resolution is an important aspect when we are going to use remote sensing technique, when we are going to use earth observation technology for slum area mapping. Okay. You can see here, this is the high resolution satellite image that is providing the detailed information about the urban area. Okay, so you can apply different interpretation keys, you can apply different interpretation techniques: shape, size, tone, texture, pattern, association, shadow, whatever may be applicable. You need to identify the suitable key, then you can apply that key to identify or to interpret different kinds of urban features in slum or non-slum area. So in this figure you can see, this is highly dense urban area. Okay, this is a highly dense urban area. You can see here the roads, you can see here the different kinds of buildings, different kinds of houses. So depending on the population density, depending on the morphology, depending on the texture, you can easily identify what kind of uh, uh, area is there, whether it is slum area or non-slum area. Okay, so slum area may have same kind of houses, slum area may have same kind of uh, buildings, so it may have a smooth texture. Okay, in case of smooth texture, you can identify that this is a same kind of houses, same kind of buildings, so it may be considered as the slum area. Okay, smooth texture and rough texture. Rough texture provides you the variation in the tone, slight change in the variation in the tone. So if all the buildings are of the same types, so you will have a smooth texture. Means all the features, all the buildings will have same kind of reflectance pattern. So it will have a smooth texture. But all the building, if the buildings are of different types, some building are having tall, some building is having small size, some building is having tall size. Okay, so they may have different kinds of reflectance, they may have different reflectance pattern, so it may have rough texture. Rough texture and smooth texture can easily be identified to can easily be identified the is homogeneity and heterogeneity of that area. If this is homogeneous feature, then it may be slum area. If there is heterogeneous feature, definitely it is not slum area. It may be some plant city. It may be some other city than the slum area. So for this, you need to apply land use classification. You need to classify all the satellite images into different classes, land use, land cover classes. It may include the urban area. It may include the residential area. Okay, it may have urban green space. It may have roads. It may have buildings. Okay, so how to identify these classes? You need to apply interpretation, satellite image interpretation keys. Okay, and so that you can apply these satellite image interpretation keys to identify different classes, and then you can go for land use classification to identify the urban and non-urban area. Then you can easily calculate the area occupied by the slum or area occupied by the non-slum area. So this is a sample image. If we use high resolution satellite images, so it will be very easy to identify slum area. Okay, and if we are using medium resolution satellite images, so it may be some difficulty to identify the slum area, because in medium resolution images it is not possible to identify exact slum area, but you may have some interpretation abilities. If you have good interpretation expertise, so you may definitely will have some idea about the slum or non-slum area. Okay, so remote sensing images can be used for land use classification, can be used for slum area mapping, can be used to identify the higher details for that slum area, so that it can be used to enhance the or you can use it this information to provide land tenureship to the urban poor, so that it may be there may be the reduction of the slum area. Okay, GIS and urban poverty mapping. GIS can provide you the ability to visualize all the information. You can use three-dimensional visualization of urban area. Okay, so geo visualization is possible by applying GIS tools. Okay, you can also use participatory approach. Participatory approach can also be applied to identify the slum area, to identify the urban poverty mapping. Okay, GIS can also have the facility to integrate different data products. If you have different data layers, if you have different layers, different raster and vector layers, you can integrate all the data products. You can integrate all the layers into a single layer using GIS platform. Okay, that it can provide you the much detailed information about the slum area. Okay, so these are the use of GIS and remote sensing technique in slum area mapping, in urban poverty mapping. Okay, with good efficiency and accuracy. So it can be provided you the information that how much area is under slum and what should be the measures taken for the improvement of the life of the person living in that urban area and to reduce the urban slum area. Okay, so GIS, and also it is important to note here GPS. GPS is also an important part when we are going for slum area mapping. GPS provides you the accurate positional accuracy of each and every building in that slum area. If we are using high resolution satellite images, definitely we need to identify each and every specific location of urban area. Okay, and building, each building can be geotagged using GPS, using coordinates. If we are using DGPS provides you the accuracy up to zero point 0.5 zero point 0.5 meter up to below 1 meter. So each and every building, each and every houses in the slum area can be geotagged by using GPS technology, and that information can be used in GIS platform to identify the suitable site, to identify the suitability analysis of the development of that area, urban development of the area. So if you have any question, then you can
Sir,
ask.
GDPS, DGPS also work in slum area?